we got Asim from Cage. I think that's right. I know.
Human Rights Group. Go ahead. Is this Asim Qureshi?
Yeah, hi there.
Go ahead,
Good
Mr.
afternoon.
Qureshi.
Good morning, Rob.
Yeah, so Boris, over the last couple of days, you said a lot of stuff about me, my organisation, and I just wanted to take the opportunity to have a quick chat with you. Maybe
Yes, absolutely.
A quick reason discussion about this, because I feel that our opinions in this matter have been somewhat unfairly represented. At the end of the day, what this young man has done is absolutely horrific. And
well, I think it's important. It's important that you should get that out there, Asim, because it wasn't, I have to say, entirely clear from your initial response to this.
At the very beginning of our press conference, Boris, and if you please, do go back and listen to it. I think what you'll see is that what we're saying is that, as an organisation, we've made a commitment to working against arbitrary detention, extrajudicial killing, and torture. And regardless of who perpetrates it, as Muslims, we believe that be just, even if it goes against yourself. That's what the Quran tells us. So even if it's against me, my family, whoever, if they're carrying out these horrific acts, then they have to be held to account. All we're asking for, Boris, is just a little bit of
go on.
About the period in the UK. That's it. That's all we're asking.
Look, I have to say what moved me to anger was the thought that you were claiming, and I think this was exactly what you were saying, was that the fault for the radicalisation of this young guy lay with the security services, and the bit I watched you explain how he had been seeking quote unquote a career overseas and had been impeded by the security services in finding his vocation. Actually, he was going off to join a terrorist group in Somalia, and
I will come back to Mr. Qureshi.
I really think that the focus of your indignation and your outrage should be on people who go out to join groups that throw gays off cliffs, that behead people who don't subscribe to their version of Islam, that glorify in the execution of innocent journalists and aid workers. They should be the object of your wrath, not the security services who are trying to keep us safe, Asim. That is my view, and I urge you more powerfully to differentiate between people like Mr. Mwazi and ordinary Muslims, and not somehow instantly to cry Islamophobia or whatever when people criticize, attack, denounce those who go out and engage in such atrocities. That should be your priority.
Boris, we don't need to do that because the whole of the Muslim community is against these kinds of abuses. Trust me.
I watched you. I'm afraid I watched you very carefully during that interview, and you were asked several times to condemn and to denounce what Mr. Mwazi had been doing, and the rest of ISIL. And you started off by instantly drawing comparisons with Tony Blair and Dick Cheney and all sorts of other irrelevant nonsense. If you're going to have an impact, Asim, if you're going to have an impact on the lives, on the minds of young Muslims, you've got to focus on what these people are doing wrong and not immediately start scattering blame around. You've got to focus on where they've got their lives wrong, where they're making the false choices that they're making, the false understanding that they have of Islam. That should be your focus. Focus on what they've got wrong about Islam and explain it much more powerfully than you're currently doing.
We must let Mr. Qureshi come back. Mr. Qureshi?
Yeah. Boris, what we're trying to explain is the fact that these things are extremely complicated. We never said that he was radicalised by MI5 to commit beheadings. What we said
you did say that.
No, not at all. I never said that once.
Well.
I said what we want is to understand whether or not the security agencies, their actions led to him feeling like he did not belong part of UK society. That's it.
I just Asim,
there's a direct causality.
Please. I just feel that you've got it 100% the wrong way up. You need to see this thing through differently. The security services are trying to keep us safe. They cannot conceivably be blamed for their actions in trying to prevent people from committing absolutely sick atrocities against the British public and indeed against innocent people in Syria and Iraq. If you're a human rights group funded by charity, then you should be sticking up for the human rights of those who are being beheaded in Syria and in northern Iraq. That should be the focus of your concern.